Well, today we're going to be doing this vlog. This show today is going to be about a tourist guide according to Liberto, me, what I know about this area, my land. I'll show you exactly what made this area what it is known today, like my land, which was really never called my land. It was called Parc and Bernard. But we're going to go there now to Parc and Bernard, that block, which made kind of this area famous in my way, the way I think about it. So we're going to go to Parc and Bernard.
Cool. So then let us get these little freaking Oh, nice. Hey, welcome to the Liberto Madeira show again. We're talking about my land. Well, before my land, the area, this area in Montreal, before it was called my land, it was called Parc and Bernard, the famous corner, which we're like right now on Bernard Street will be kind of where the lights are, and we're right now right smack quite in the middle of Parc and Bernard. This was the area that made kind of my land famous. I'll tell you why. Because back then, in late 60s, 70s, right now we're staying across the street from the famous Rialto Theater. Well, Rialto Theater was really, really well known at the time in this area. And we had, of course, the midnight movies where we would go see the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, and then in the bottom there was this famous Rialto, which was called the Rialto Pool Hall, right downstairs in the basement, which was kind of like a dungeon. But that Rialto Pool Hall, the owner used to be a very famous wrestler, which he was a Greek wrestler named Lambrakis. Well, Lambrakis was well loved by everybody in this street. Parc Avenue back then again was really mostly a lot of Greek retailers, Greek business people. So he was downstairs at the Rialto Pool Hall, was really famous in the areas which we would all be consuming with the mind-altering substances, if you know what I mean. So at that time, Parc and Bernard, people will come from all over the place, all over the island, right here to buy or consume those famous products, if you know what I mean. Okay? So at that time, so all these people that were coming from basically all over the place started to kind of fall in love with the neighborhood. And at Rialto Pool Hall, at any given time, there would be like 3, 4, 5 dealers there, if you know what I mean by dealers, selling that stuff. Again, back then in the late 70s, early 80s, we did a movie called Boys Will Be Man, and that movie, which is featured in the National Film Board, shows a little bit of that Rialto pool hall. So if you want a feature, we'll try to put a link at the bottom for www.libertomaderos.com, which will be www.libertomaderos.com. We'll put a link and it will bring you to this movie called, a documentary about the area. But again, it shows exactly what basically this area was. So Park and Bernard, again, it's not as famous as it used to be, but it did bring a lot of people in this neighborhood. We're talking about Saint Viator, Fairmont, St. Lawrence, etc. Right at the corner, we'll show you a place with another famous place that used to be a hangout for back then, an all-nighter, 24-hour open restaurant, which was called the New Palace. Again, it was called the New Palace. Today it's called Le Nouveau Palais, but it was the New Palace. Very famous hangout, open all night long. There we go. This is right at the corner. Park and Bernard. Famous again. And right at the corner, like I said, there was New Palace, which is called today, because the language laws, Le Nouveau Palais. Thank you. See you soon. We're gonna go across the street. Well, right in front over here, there's to be Steinberg's grocery stores, which is pretty amazing. We had Ben's Delicatessen right next door over here, next to the. We had we had the Outremont pub, which is kind of a tavern, which we used to play music a lot back then. There was all kinds of, in this area here, we had a lot of activity. There was a lot of speakeasies, what would you say, all night, a lot of nightclubs, open day and night. I mean, they were always open, these nightclubs. So this corner here was really quite something. So it's a little bit different today. There's no more really clubs. It's mostly, you know, fruit stores and hardware stores and some fish markets, whatever. But there was a lot of entertainment over here, from the movies Rialto to quite amazing retailers which closed down over the years. Okay, so we're going to continue showing a little bit about the area. Okay. Another area that made this area very, very famous is Saint Viator Bagel. Okay, so it's soon to be 68 years old, 68 years in the area. So they're responsible for bringing all these new people also to this nice area. Another landmark in this area on Saint Viator Street was Café Social, which has been around for a long time, the Lucifero family. But I mean, they've been around for like a long time, since we could go back as a teenager. That's where we also will hang out with that family, Café Social. All right. Okay, back we were still in Saint Viator Street, and we think about or talk about coffee in Montreal. I mean the effects of coffee. You know, the talk about coffee is that, you know, you have to mention Café Olympico. I mean this establishment, landmark, has been here forever, around the 50s. You know, with Mr. Rocco Forfaro, the founder. It's been around for so long, responsible for so much activity in this street, Saint Viator Street, with Festa San Marziale. You had a whole bunch of events around
around the street, around Cafe Olimpico. So like this is truly one of the, you could say, biggest landmarks. Back then, when it first opened, the first few years till the early 70s, there would be only old people, old men that would go there and play cards, bishkola, Italian style, and a couple of teenage kids going there and play the pinball, maybe pool, and would be maybe a couple of old men there, a few kids, and back then, today, it's just like everybody discovered coffee, everybody discovered my land again, and don't forget my land again, which was Park and Bernard, that famous area that brought in thousands upon the thousands of people to this neighborhood. We're going to continue our journey. Right now we're on Clark Street. This is basically where my wife, Franca, was born. Right over here, as a matter of fact, she was born here. Back then, this street was basically Italian street. There will be people from Napoli, Reggio Calabria, Calabrese. There would be people from Sicily, Napolitana, all kinds, just basically huge families, kids all over the place. And this was a few Portuguese too, a couple of Polish, a few Ukrainians, but mostly basically Italian people, and they had their businesses on San Vietor, all kinds of businesses to deal with them, to deal with the demand for product. So we're walking down Clark Street, which is now a very, very trendy street.
What did the people that lived in this neighborhood used to do for jobs?
Well, they all used to, basically this was the needle trade. You're looking at the next street, St. Lawrence, which was basically St. Lawrence, Gaspé, Casgrain, was all the needle points. It was basically 80%, 90% of the people that came over here, basically, especially the ladies, worked in sewing machines, the needle trade, clothing, sweaters, pants, clothes, suits, whatever, tops. So that's all gone. Of course, the needle trade just basically vanished, and we still have basically one remaining in St. Lawrence Street, one company, which is called Giovanni's, which hopefully we'll be doing a post later on our show, the Liberto show. Again, I like to do this, what I'm doing for you, showing exactly what the area used to be like, where it's going to. Very popular, very chic, everybody wants to be here. I like to continue this work, so like, subscribe, but most important, subscribe. If you're viewing us, you're checking us out, subscribe, because it helps us keep these things going. So we can also buy better equipment so you can hear me better.